Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the final segment of the day here on the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. Hope you have enjoyed the show thus far. I really enjoyed this show, talking about so many different players, whether they're in the prime of their careers or still young enough to improve. And this final player kind of is in the median of that statement. He falls into this category of a guy still in his prime, but now moving to a different team. We're going to have to see how this guy improves and see how he develops as a young safety. And that young player is L'Jarius Sneed. He makes this move to the Tennessee Titans from the Kansas City Chiefs, where he truly developed himself as one of the better safeties in the league. Fantastic coverage skills, fantastic safety, understanding this role, and working under one of the great defensive minds in Steve Spagnuolo. Now moving to a Tennessee Titans secondary that certainly feels, in certain ways, very odd. And so, I just wanted to focus on L'Jarius Sneed in particular because I actually had forgotten that he had become a Tennessee Titan. And I really think that he's in a place where his assets and tools could come into play. However, there's another guy who, the less I say about him, the better, just come in. But let's focus on L'Jarius Sneed for now. Throughout his career, he's accumulated 406.1 fantasy points. His best season was in 2022, where he had 143.6. Last season, 60 solo tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 14 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. And I really think that L'Jarius Sneed is in a system that wants him, most importantly. I think that the Tennessee Titans, when I look at them, they're also one of those defenses that doesn't really have that depth and experience in the secondary. So bringing in L'Jarius Sneed definitely felt like a move that they were happy and comfortable with making. But, like I said, there's a guy who, the less I say about the better, just came into this Titans team. And he is also known for being a very, very controversial safety, and that is Jamal Adams. Both of these guys play the strong safety position. Both of these guys have tendencies to blitz, especially Jamal Adams, because he was seen as Seattle's only source of pass rush over that time he was there. But both of them have in common another thing. They're both very injury prone. And so, when I look at L'Jarius Sneed, let's first look at him and then compare him to Jamal Adams. I think out of both of them, he has more pull to the way he plays, because he, in a Steve Spagnuolo scheme, understands that the safety position is not all about blitz, whereas Jamal Adams is just blitz, 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 blitz. And he might not be able to get out of that mindset. I know that Seattle kind of forced him into that and kind of tried to use that as their secret weapon, but it didn't work to full effect. And so now here he is. And I think the Tennessee Titans conundrum is, well, if you want to be a coverage defense, then I think L'Jarius Sneed definitely plays that better. But if you want a little bit more surprise to your defensive style of play, then maybe Jamal Adams still has that aggression in him. And so, while I felt as if L'Jarius Sneed would immediately lock down a safety position in terms of being a cemented starter on this Titans team, now it's kind of in question because of Jamal Adams arriving there. But when I look at, say, the front for the Tennessee Titans as well, I'm not sure this is the best. They added Tavondre Sweat to the draft. Definitely someone very interesting. Jeffrey Simmons is still there. And I like Harold Landry III at the linebacker position. But when I look at the secondary, you're relying on two guys in Amani Hooker and Elijah Molden kind of as two other safeties there, right? And so I feel like L'Jarius Sneed should take advantage of being a very versatile player. They have him listed as a corner. but I feel like his best traits are at the safety position, because when you play a 3-4 defense, as the Tennessee Titans will, like I said with Will Anderson, or I believe, Will Anderson, no, it was Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen, well, kind of comparing two positions here, but, the sentiment's still the same. Like that system, a lot of it's focused on coverage. And I feel as if Jamal Adams, shouldn't he win the starting role at the strong safety position, definitely is not a coverage man. So you need a guy like L'Jarius Sneed who can play both the corner position and also dabble in the safety position, because at the end of the day, if you're cementing yourself as a 3-4 defense, you can't be slacking in coverage. And you don't necessarily have the front three to really sustain that. You have the linebacker core. Much like the Jacksonville Jaguars, the linebacker core for the Tennessee Titans is their strength that I think they should focus on. So, if you're looking at your linebacker core and secondary, and you're asking them to cover a lot, you definitely need someone who has been in a system like L'Jarius Sneed to really come through and cement himself as someone who can be reliable and potent in different levels of that secondary. Now let's kind of transition to Jamal Adams. I know this is a segment about L'Jarius Sneed, and I promise that there's a method to this madness in describing Jamal Adams, because it's in contrast to what Sneed brings to the table. Jamal Adams will never be known for being a guy who can cover anymore. As a Jet, I kind of felt like his versatility was a little bit underutilized, and it was definitely kind of taken advantage of by Seattle. And that's probably why a lot of teams do not think of him as highly as other players. And so, combining him and L'Jarius Sneed, I really want to see if the Tennessee Titans can get Jamal Adams to cover a little bit more, and also allow Sneed potentially be one of those surprising corner blitzers, because Sneed here is the interesting variant in the system. Sneed is the one who has the most versatility. Sneed is ultimately in the prime of his career. And I feel like that acquisition can't lose weight to the Adams situation, because Sneed's going to hold a lot more importance when all is said and done in the system. Now let's bring it back to Sneed's style of play. Like I said, in a Spagnuolo defense, when you're in the secondary, you could be asked to cover a lot, and you could be asked to blitz a lot. L'Jarius Sneed, the reason why I believe that he can't get lost in the limelight is because in a conference so crowded with speed and wanting to get vertical, you have to understand that yourself as a player has to focus on coverage. Coverage is always going to be the main reason that a team locks you down. But by being in a Steve Spagnuolo system, you also learn the element of surprise, because Steve Spagnuolo always felt like he had to out-scheme better opposition. He did it twice in the Super Bowl. So the question for the Titans is, are you going to carry over that? Because by picking up Jamal Adams, that eliminates what you can get out of L'Jarius Sneed. L'Jarius Sneed does both so well that I don't think you even need Adams. So the bottom line for summing up what L'Jarius Sneed is going to be for the Tennessee Titans stems from A, the carryover effect from a Steve Spagnuolo-led defense, and B, if the Tennessee Titans truly think that Jamal Adams can be more than just an element of surprise. If those two factors are figured out, then L'Jarius Sneed is going to be a sneaky pick for your IDP team. That will just about do it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I've been Christopher Shepard. Consider liking, following, and subscribing to the show. Consider leaving a tip or donation at the link, gsmc.cloud. It was a huge appreciation by all involved at the network. Thank you guys yet again for tuning in. We'll be back at the end of the week to end the week better than ever tomorrow. Thank you yet again.